Good afternoon, everyone. I am Ryan Clifton Bowling. I'm going to get right down to it. Of course, you all know that this is the first year anniversary of the Capitol riots that occurred in 2020. My prayers go out to the family members of the lost. And it was a tragic situation and something that I don't support in terms of going about things in that way. However, that's not what I want to talk about. I'm not here to talk about that. The January 6th and the riots. That's not what I'm about to talk about, because the mainstream news is going to make sure that you are aware of it, that it's the most horrible thing that ever existed in all of human history. What I want to talk about is the words that came out of Kamala Harris's mouth and how she compared this Capitol riot to some couple of incidents that occurred where thousands of people died. We'll get into that. I was reading an article from Breitbart News, as we all know, an online conservative news site. And I read this article and they wrote down what she said. And honestly, I'm not shocked. So I'm going to read, it's a short article. So I'm going to read that article and then I'm going to tell you what I believe this is all about. This really, I don't want to go too far ahead of this, but I'm going to give you my opinion on what I think this is all about and why Kamala Harris said what she said, because honestly, she plays this game for a reason. I don't think she is as ignorant as she comes off to be. There's a manipulation going on here. So I'm going to give you my opinion on this manipulation after I read this article. So let's begin. The title of the article is Kamala Harris, January 6th riot-like bombing of Pearl Harbor, 9/11 terror attacks. Vice President Kamala Harris kicked off the Biden administration remarks on the first anniversary of the January 6, 2021 Capitol riot by comparing it to the bombing of Pearl Harbor in 1941 and the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001. Certain dates echo throughout history, including dates that instantly remind all who have lived through them where they were and what they were doing when our democracy came under assault. Dates that occupy not only a place in our calendars, but a place in our collective memory. December 7th, 1941, September 11th, 2001, and January 6th, 2021. More than 2,400 Americans died in the Pearl Harbor attack, and nearly 3,000 Americans died in 9/11 terror attacks. Now, this is what's interesting about this. I believe that this is the actual words of Kamala Harris, the way that they have this. Yeah, I believe it's there. They have them in quotes. Now, what's interesting about this, let me say something before I read the rest of this article, is that when January 6th occurred, when this January 6th situation occurred with this riot, I didn't remember where I was at. I might have been working. I might have been home, because I didn't see that as 9/11. But I remember where I was when 9/11 happened. I was at work at a buffing wheel at MPC plating on Euclid, and I was buffing. I was a buffer, a professional buffer. And I remember when that happened, and I never forgot it. So that goes to show you just how severe, as far as I'm concerned, the January 6th riots was really all about. But I digress. Let's move on. Harris, who participated in a Black Lives Matter protest outside the White House in May 2020, just hours after rioters attacked police around the building, injured dozens, assaulting journalists, and forcing the evacuation of the president into a bunker. Now listen to this. Declared of the Capitol rioters. Now this woman is involved in all of this, but she says that the Capitol rioters, what they sought to degrade and destroy was not only a building, hallowed as it is. What they were assaulting were the institutions, the values, the ideals that generations of Americans have marched, picketed, and shed blood to establish and defend. Let me get this straight. You was involved in Black Lives Matter rioting and so forth, who assaulted individuals, forced the president to go into a bunker, and yet you accuse these rioters of the very thing that you actually physically did. I don't know. We're going to go on. The vice president, who spread claims of Russian collusion with Trump, warned Americans about, quote, peddling lies and information by some radical faction that may be resurgent, but whose roots run old and deep, end quote, hinting at Donald Trump and suggesting a connection between Trump supporters and extremism. Now, that's the end of that article there. Where do we even begin? Number one, the hypocrisy of Kamala Harris, as I've already read in the article. The hypocrisy. She's involved. She was evidently assisting or in the protest with Black Lives Matter, in the protest with Black Lives Matter, and all of this stuff was going on, and yet she accuses the January 6th rioters of attacking the institutions that this country is built on. I mean, that's a contradiction. She say one thing and do it, it does another. See, here's my point I want to make in this video. Politicians do this all the time. And right now, the ones that are actually doing this now are the Democrats. The play on words are designed to trick millions of people into believing what's being said. This is manipulation at its highest. How in the world can you compare 9/11 and Pearl Harbor to January 6th? You can't compare it in the damage that was done, far as the monetary damage that was done. You can't compare it that way. You can't even remotely compare it to the loss of life. What can you compare January 6th to in reference to 9/11 and Pearl Harbor? Why would you even use those two incidences? I'll tell you why she used those two incidences. Because she's trying to get the minds of non-thinking Americans who are sitting back saying, yeah, man, that's really true. Wow, it's psychological. It's psychological. Because anybody with a thinking brain would be like what I just said. 3,000 people, 9/11, close to 3,000 people. And Pearl Harbor, 2,000. That don't sound right. Millions and millions of dollars was lost. I'm pretty sure the two buildings that two World Trade Centers, them cost millions upon millions of dollars. As well as so how can you compare that, Miss Harris? How can you compare that? How can you compare Pearl Harbor, which I'm pretty sure cost millions of dollars in damage? How can you compare that to January 6th? You can't. You can't compare it in reference to life. You can't compare it in reference to monetary value. But she's doing it, I believe, to trick the masses. It's a psychological ploy designed to get at them emotionally so that they can stay sided with the Democratic Party. To look at those on the right as the ones who are causing all these problems, the ones who are causing damage and who are the extremists. But if you look throughout Trump's presidency from 2016 or 2017 all the way to 2020, if you really look at it, who is doing all of the damage? Who is doing all of the rioting? Who is doing all the assaulting? How many people died from the hands of conservatives and Trump supporters? I'll wait. Be realistic. It's the politicians that's keeping us divided, and it's the Democratic politicians of today in particular that's keeping us divided, keeping us on the mental plantation that they've designed for us. And we keep sleeping on it. People keep sleeping on it. They keep sleeping on that plantation. But I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing until you wake up and look at the facts of the situation. There is no comparison to the two, but she uses that as a cycle. She's a politician. She's a skilled, consummate politician. True politicians know how to use words. See, Trump, that was what hurt Trump. He told the truth, but Trump wasn't a politician. So he couldn't manipulate words like the politicians could. Politicians know how to manipulate words. Kamala Harris and Biden, they know how to, even when Biden, when he's able to really like talk and make sense, they know how to manipulate words and use certain phrases and terminology as propaganda to win the masses. See, they know how to do that. And she know what words, because anybody who's thinking would know there's no comparison between January 6th and 9/11 and Pearl Harbor. There's no comparison whatsoever. She knows that. She knows that factually, but she's counting on the millions of people to be dumb. That's what I hate to use that term, but that's what she's counting on. All these people, they so dumb, they'll believe it anyway. And then when election time comes, they'll vote for us because they believe everything we say. They don't compare facts. They don't look at factual data. They just feel. And that's why she used these comparisons, because she knows it's psychological. They just feel. And since I feel it, it must be true. But that's a lie. You're being tricked. You're being manipulated. That's all I want to say about that. But what do you guys think after what I just read in this article? Do you think that she was using manipulative terms? Because clearly, as far as I'm concerned, she was using manipulation and propaganda to appeal to the masses emotionally, to keep them on her side, to keep them on the Democratic and the left, on the leftist side. That's what it's all about, politics. But they're using manipulation, in my opinion, manipulation and certain key words and phrases to evoke emotion in the people. They're not using real factual data, and any facts that they use, it's superficial facts. It never gives you the root cause of why that situation was the way it was. They're not going to tell you that. They're not going to tell you the why. And if they do, it's a lie, it's a fabrication. Because when you compare it with true documented factual data, it doesn't line up. It doesn't stand up. So I just wanted to say that about that situation. Once again, my prayers go out to the families of the lost ones in January 6th situation. If you guys have any comments, please leave your comments in the comments section below. If you like this video, press the like button, share this video, and subscribe. God bless you all, and see you again.